London Kingdoms. In the grimy, rain-soaked streets of London between 1980 and 1985, two rival gangs ruled the city. The Cockney Kings, led by the cunning and charismatic Billy the Blade McGinty, and the East End enforcers under the iron fist of the ruthless Victor the Viper Kostopoulos. These were not your average street gangs. They were kingdoms in their own right, each with their own codes, territories, and a dark sense of humor that kept them sane in a world of violence and betrayal. Billy the Blade McGinty was a man with a quick wit and an even quicker blade. His laughter could fill a room, but his eyes held a chill that could freeze your blood. He was a natural leader, able to charm his way into any situation, and his reputation preceded him like a shadow. Born and raised in the rough streets of East London, Billy had climbed the ranks of the criminal underworld with a mix of cunning, charm, and a healthy dose of brutality. His blade was as much a part of him as his shadow, and he was known to wield it with deadly precision and a flair for the dramatic. Victor the Viper Kostopoulos, on the other hand, was a man of few words, but his actions spoke volumes. His gaze was as cold as the steel of the guns he favored, and his reputation was built on a foundation of fear and respect. Born into a family of Greek immigrants, Victor had learned the hard way that the only path to power was through strength and cunning. He was a calculated and ruthless leader, always several steps ahead of his enemies. His crew respected him for his strategic mind and feared him for his unforgiving nature. The story begins on a particularly dreary London evening, as Billy sat in his favorite pub, the Drunken Duck, nursing a pint and a bruised ego. His latest heist had gone sideways, and the enforcers had gotten the better of him. "Bloody hell," he muttered to himself. "Victor's getting cocky. Time to remind him who's king of this city." Across town, Victor was having his own troubles. His right-hand man, Dmitri the Bear Petrov, had been caught red-handed skimming from the gang's profits. "Dmitri," Victor growled, his voice a low rumble. "You've been a loyal soldier, but this is a betrayal." Dmitri, a mountain of a man, his eyes filled with fear, tried to explain. "Boss, I can explain. It was just a one-time thing, I swear." Victor shook his head, his expression unyielding. "One time or not, it's a matter of principle. You know the rules." As the night wore on, tensions rose. Billy, ever the opportunist, saw a chance to turn the tables. He sent word to Victor, offering a truce and a chance to work together. "Victor, old friend," he said, his voice laced with charm. "Let's put our differences aside and take down the real enemy, the police. What do you say?" Victor's response was dripping with suspicion. "And why should I trust you, Billy? Last time we worked together, you tried to knife me in the back." Billy laughed, a sound that was both infectious and unsettling. "Ah, Victor, always the cynic. But you're right. This time, though, I've got something that'll make it worth your while. A job so big, it'll make us both richer than the Queen herself." Intrigued, Victor agreed to meet Billy at a neutral ground, the Crown and Anchor. The pub was a seedy dive, but it was a place where both gangs could feel somewhat at ease. As Billy slid into the booth opposite Victor, he leaned in, his voice low and conspiratorial. "So, Victor, you ready to hear about the job of a lifetime?" Victor leaned back, his eyes never leaving Billy's. "I'm listening." Billy's grin was wolfish. "There's a shipment of gold coming into the docks next week, enough to set us both up for life. But we'll need to work together to pull it off. Victor nodded slowly, his mind already racing with the possibilities. "And what makes you think I won't just take the gold and leave you with nothing?" Billy's grin widened, and he pulled out a photograph. "Because, my friend, I've got insurance. Something that'll make sure you keep your end of the bargain." Victor raised an eyebrow, his interest piqued. "And what might that be?" Billy slid the photograph across the table. "Your sister, Maria. She's a lovely girl, isn't she? It would be a shame if something happened to her." Victor's face darkened, and for a moment, Billy thought he might lose control. But Victor merely nodded, his voice cold. "You touch her, and I'll—" Billy interrupted, his tone light. "Relax, Victor. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. No need for threats. We're partners now, remember?" And so, an uneasy alliance was forged. The Cockney Kings and the East End enforcers set aside their differences and planned the heist of the century. But in the world of London's criminal underworld, trust was a rare commodity, and betrayal was always just around the corner. As the days ticked down to the heist, both gangs prepared. Billy and Victor met in secret, ironing out the details and trying to keep their respective crews in line. The tension was palpable, but the promise of untold riches kept them going. Billy gathered his crew, his voice filled with excitement and caution. "Listen up, lads. This is it, the big one. We pull this off, and we're set for life. But we need to be sharp. The enforcers are watching our every move." Victor did the same, his tone stern and focused. "You know the drill. Stay alert, stay focused. We're not just stealing gold, we're stealing our future. But remember, if anyone double-crosses us, they answer to me." The night of the heist arrived, and the city was alive with anticipation. Billy and Victor led their crews to the docks, their hearts pounding with a mix of excitement and fear. As they moved through the shadows, Billy whispered to Victor, "You ready for this, old friend?" Victor nodded grimly, his eyes scanning the area for any sign of trouble. "Let's get this over with." The heist went off without a hitch. The gangs worked in perfect sync, their years of rivalry forgotten in the face of the shared goal. As they loaded the last of the gold into their getaway vehicles, Billy and Victor exchanged a rare moment of camaraderie. "We did it, Victor," Billy said, his smile genuine. "We actually did it." Victor almost smiled back, a rare crack in his usually impassive facade. "Yes, we did, but don't think this changes anything between us." Billy laughed, a sound of pure relief and joy. "I wouldn't dream of it, old friend. But for now, let's enjoy the spoils." As they drove away, the city lights twinkling in the distance, neither Billy nor Victor could shake the feeling that something was amiss. And they were right. For in the shadows, a new player had emerged, one who saw the heist as an opportunity to take down both gangs in one fell swoop. Detective Inspector Harold "the Hawk" Edwards was a man of principle, known for his relentless pursuit of justice. His eyes held a steely determination that could unnerve even the toughest of criminals. Harold had been watching the gangs for months, biding his time until he could make his move. And now, with the heist complete, he saw his chance. "It's time to bring these bastards down," Harold said to his partner, his voice filled with resolve. "We've got them right where we want them." His partner nodded, a mixture of excitement and trepidation in his eyes. "But how do we do it without tipping them off?" Harold smiled, a cold and calculated expression. "Leave that to me. I've got a plan." As Billy and Victor celebrated their success, Harold moved in, his team surrounding the Cockney King's hideout. The enforcers, caught off guard, were quickly apprehended. Chaos erupted as Billy shouted, "Victor, you bastard! You set us up!" Victor shouted back, his voice filled with fury. "I did no such thing. This is your doing, Billy." In the chaos, Billy managed to escape, leaving Victor and his crew to face the music. Harold, ever the opportunist, saw this as a chance to turn Victor against Billy, especially during the holiday season. "You can walk away from this, Victor," Harold said, his voice smooth and persuasive. "All you have to do is help us take down Billy. Think of it as your Christmas miracle." Victor hesitated, his mind racing with the implications. "And why should I trust you, detective? Especially at a time like this?" Harold leaned in, his eyes boring into Victor's. "Because, Victor, you have no other choice. Billy's a snake, and he'll turn on you the first chance he gets. Help us, and you'll walk away a free man. It's the gift that keeps on giving." Victor, seeing no other way out, agreed. And so, the stage was set for the final act in the saga of the Cockney Kings and the East End enforcers, all wrapped up in a Christmas bow. Billy, furious and betrayed, vowed revenge. "Victor's played me for a fool," he muttered to himself. "But not for long. I'll get my revenge, and then some. And I'll make sure it's a Christmas he'll never forget." Victor, on the other hand, was resigned to his fate. "I've made my choice," he said to himself. "Now, I just need to see it through. Maybe this is my penance for the sins of the past." The city held its breath as the two former allies faced off one last time. The streets ran red with blood, and the echoes of gunfire rang out into the night, a grim contrast to the festive lights and carols. In the end, only one man stood victorious. Billy, breathing heavily, looked down at his fallen enemy. "It's over, Victor. You should have known better than to cross me, especially during the holidays." Victor, falling to his knees, his strength fading, managed a final word. "You win, Billy. You win. Merry Christmas." And with those words, the reign of the Cockney Kings and the East End enforcers came to an end. Billy walked away a free man, his pockets heavy with gold and his heart heavy with the weight of his actions. The city of London breathed a sigh of relief, but the shadows of its underworld remained, waiting for the next king to rise, even as the Christmas bells rang out across the city.